The cargo ship Meridian moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Captain Sarah Chen sat in her command chair, watching the endless black through the front window. Her crew of 12 people worked quietly at their stations. They were carrying medical supplies and machines to help make New World safe for humans to live on. "Captain, we have company," said Officer James Park from his seat at the sensor station. His voice was calm, but Chen could hear the worry underneath. Chen looked at the main screen. A massive ship appeared, 10 times bigger than the Meridian. It was dark gray with sharp edges and looked like it was built for war. Red lights blinked along its hull like angry eyes. "That's a Catherian battlecruiser," whispered Dr. Lisa Wong, the ship's medical officer. Everyone knew about the Catherians. They were tall aliens with 4 arms and skin like gray stone. They had taken over many worlds and made other alien races work as slaves. The communication system made a harsh sound. A deep, rough voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, this is Commander HFY of the Catherian Empire. You will stop your ship and prepare to give us your cargo. This space belongs to us. You must pay tribute to pass through." Chen pressed the talk button. Her voice stayed steady and polite. "Commander HFY, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth cargo vessel Meridian. We are following the Galactic Commerce Accords. We have the right to free passage through this space. Our cargo is medical supplies for sick people on the outer colonies." A loud laugh came from the speakers. "Your Earth laws mean nothing here, human. We are the strongest. We take what we want. Prepare to be boarded." Chen looked at her crew. They all knew what this meant. The Catherians were famous for taking everything valuable from ships they stopped. Sometimes they kept the crews as slaves. Sometimes they killed them for fun. "Sir," said Park quietly, "their weapons are charging. They have enough firepower to turn us into space dust." Chen nodded slowly. She reached under her captain's chair and pressed a hidden button. A small device appeared from a secret panel. It looked like a normal communication device, but Chen knew it was much more. It was connected to Earth Command through quantum technology that could send messages instantly across any distance. "All crew, prepare for boarding," Chen said over the ship's speakers. "Follow Emergency Protocol 7. Stay calm and do exactly what they say." The Meridian shook as the Catherian ship attached to their docking port. Heavy footsteps echoed through the halls. The sound of cutting tools filled the air as the aliens forced their way through the airlock. Commander HFY was the first to enter the bridge. He was 8 feet tall, with 4 powerful arms and glowing red eyes. 50 Catherian warriors followed him, all carrying energy weapons that hummed with deadly power. Their armor was black and covered with spikes. "So these are the famous humans," HFY said, his voice full of mockery. "You look even weaker than we heard. Your skin is so soft. Your bodies are so small. How did such a pathetic race ever learn to build spaceships?" The other Catherians laughed. They had conquered 47 worlds and never met anyone who could fight back properly. Every species they had met either ran away or begged for mercy. Chen stood up slowly, keeping her hands where the aliens could see them. "Commander, you are making a mistake. Earth Command knows where we are. If anything happens to us, there will be consequences." HFY laughed even louder. "Earth Command? We know all about your little planet. You have been in space for less than 100 years. You have never fought a real war with aliens. Your ships are slow, and your weapons are weak. What can Earth Command do to the mighty Catherian Empire?" Chen smiled slightly. It was not a happy smile. "You should leave now, Commander. You still have time to make the right choice." "Are you threatening me, little human?" HFY moved closer to Chen. His red eyes glowed brighter. "You are in no position to make threats." Chen activated the quantum communicator without looking down. Her fingers moved quickly over the hidden controls. Every word spoken on the bridge was now being sent directly to Earth Command. Every second of what was happening was being recorded and transmitted instantly across space. "I am giving you 30 seconds to leave my ship. Chen said calmly. "After that, things will get complicated for you." The Catherian warriors pointed their weapons at the human crew. Energy hummed through the air. One shot from those weapons could kill a human instantly. 30 seconds? Zexhai roared. "You dare? Give me a countdown?" "Warriors, take these humans to the cargo hold. Chain them up like the animals they are." The Catherians grabbed the human crew roughly. Dr. Wong cried out as 4 strong arms lifted her off the ground. Engineer Tom Rodriguez tried to help her, but a Catherian warrior pushed him against the wall. "Do not resist," Chen told her crew. "Let them do what they want for now." The humans were forced through the ship's corridors at weapon point. The Catherians laughed and made jokes about how easy it was to capture them. They had expected the humans to fight or beg. Instead, the humans walked quietly with their heads held high. In the cargo hold, the Catherians forced the crew to kneel, in a line. Heavy metal chains were locked around their arms and legs. The chains were attached to the floor so the humans could not move far. "Look at them," said one of the Catherian warriors. "They are not even crying. Maybe they are too stupid to understand what is happening to them." Zexhai stood in front of Captain Chen. "Human, you will tell us everything about Earth's defenses. How many ships do you have? Where are your military bases? What weapons do you use?" Chen looked up at him. Her eyes were calm and showed no fear. "Commander, I told you that you still had time to make the right choice. That time is almost over." "You still think Earth Command will save you?" Zexhai kicked the metal floor near Chen's feet. "Your planet is far away. By the time any help arrives, you will all be dead or sold as slaves in the Catherian markets." Behind Zexhai, his warriors were going through the cargo. They found the medical supplies and machines for building new colonies. Everything was valuable and could be sold for profit. Chen closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, she spoke clearly into the hidden communicator that was still transmitting to Earth. "Package delivered. Phoenix Protocol authorized." Zexhai heard her words but did not understand them. "What did you say, human?" "I said goodbye, Commander." Chen's voice was steady. "I said goodbye to the galaxy you used to know. Far away on Earth, Admiral Marcus Torres received every word through the quantum link. He watched the real-time video of Captain Chen and her crew being chained like animals. He saw the Catherian commander laughing as he kicked at the human prisoners. Torres had been waiting for this moment for 50 years. Since the colony wars, Earth had followed a strict policy. No human ship would ever be boarded by hostile aliens without consequences. The Catherians had just crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. The quantum communicator kept transmitting as Zexhai ordered his warriors to take everything valuable from the Meridian. The aliens celebrated their easy victory. They had no idea that every second was being watched by the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. On Earth, alarms began to sound in the halls of Terra Command. Admiral Marcus Torres was drinking coffee in his office when the alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed on every wall of Terra Command. The quantum communicator on his desk came alive with urgent signals from deep space. Torres had been expecting this call for 50 years. He set down his coffee cup with steady hands and activated the main screen. The image that appeared made his blood turn cold, but his face showed no emotion. Captain Sarah Chen knelt on the floor of her own cargo ship. Heavy chains held her arms and legs. Around her, 11 other humans were chained like animals, while tall gray aliens pointed weapons at their heads. A massive Catherian commander stood over Chen, laughing at something he had just said. The quantum link carried every word perfectly across the vast distance. Torres heard Chen speak clearly. "Package delivered. Phoenix Protocol authorized." Torres felt old memories wake up inside him. 50 years ago, he had been a young soldier fighting in the colony wars. He had seen what happened when aliens attacked human civilians. He had seen the burning colonies and the mass graves. After that war ended, Earth had made a promise that could never be broken. "Computer, activate Emergency Protocol 7. Torres said to the room's artificial intelligence. Contact all members of the Earth Defense Council. Emergency session in 10 minutes. Yes, Admiral, the computer replied. Should I also activate the Phoenix protocol systems? Torres watched the screen as the Catherian commander kicked the floor near Chen's feet. The alien was enjoying himself. He thought he was dealing with weak humans who could not fight back. Not yet, Torres said quietly. First, we give them a chance to be smart about this. The Admiral walked quickly through the halls of Terra Command. Other officers saluted as he passed, but Torres barely noticed them. His mind was focused on the files he had memorized years ago. The Catherian Empire controlled this part of the galaxy through fear and violence. They had conquered 47 worlds and enslaved 6 different species. The Catherians were strong and their technology was good, but they had one big weakness. They had never faced serious resistance. For 300 years, every species they met either ran away or surrendered without fighting. The Catherians thought this made them unbeatable. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Earth Defense Council met in a secure room deep underground. 12 people sat around a round table. These were the most important military and political leaders on Earth. They had all been waiting for this day. Show them the feed, Torres ordered. The wall screens came alive with the real-time transmission from the Meridian. The council members watched in silence as Catherian warriors searched through the cargo hold, taking everything valuable. Captain Chen and her crew remained chained on the floor. How long since the boarding began? Asked General Patricia Santos, head of Earth Army. 47 minutes, Torres replied. The Catherians took control of the ship quickly. They seem to think this is just another easy target. Fleet Admiral Chen Wong, Sarah's uncle, leaned forward in his chair. His niece was somewhere in that cargo hold, but his voice stayed professional. What do we know about their numbers? 50 warriors on the human ship. They came from a Catherian battlecruiser with a crew of about 800. The cruiser is their newest design, heavily armed and fast. Dr. Elizabeth Harper, head of Alien Relations, spoke carefully. Admiral, we should consider a diplomatic solution first. If we respond too strongly, it might start a war with the entire Catherian Empire. Torres looked at her with cold eyes. Doctor, they boarded a civilian ship carrying medical supplies to sick colonists. They chained our people like animals. What? Part of that suggests they are interested in diplomacy. The real-time feed continued to show the situation on the Meridian. The Catherian commander was now questioning Chen about Earth's defenses. When she refused to answer, he hit her across the face with the back of his hand. Every person in the room felt anger rise in their chest, but they had been trained to control their emotions. The Phoenix Protocol was created for exactly this situation. Torres continued. When hostile aliens attack human civilians, we respond with full force. No exceptions, no half measures. The Phoenix Protocol has never been used, said General Santos. We do not know how other species will react when they see what Earth is really capable of. That is exactly why it will work, Torres replied. For 50 years, we have been very careful to appear weak and peaceful. We have hidden our real military strength. Most aliens think we are just another young species with primitive technology. Admiral Wong pulled up a holographic star map. Red dots marked Catherian territory. Blue dots showed human colonies and ships. If we activate Phoenix Protocol, we will be revealing capabilities that we have kept secret since the colony wars. Once that secret is out, we cannot take it back. Torres nodded. The Catherians made the choice for us when they boarded that ship. Computer, open a quantum channel to the Catherian homeworld. The communication system connected across hundreds of light years instantly. The main screen showed the image of a massive alien city built into the side of a mountain. Tall towers reached toward a red sky. This was Kitharos Prime, capital of the Catherian Empire. This is Admiral Marcus Torres of Earth Command, he said in a clear, strong voice. We know that your forces have boarded one of our civilian vessels and taken our people prisoner. You have 72 hours to return Captain Chen and her crew unharmed to neutral space. This is not a request. The response came quickly. Emperor Thakmor himself appeared on the screen. He was even larger than the other Catherians, with golden armor and eyes that glowed like stars. When he spoke, his voice was full of amusement. So the little humans want to make demands of the Catherian Empire? How entertaining. Tell me, Admiral, what will you do if we refuse? Will you send your primitive warships against our mighty fleet? Torres looked directly into the Emperor's glowing eyes. Your Majesty, I strongly advise you to return our people within 72 hours. After that time, you will face the full attention of humanity. Emperor Thakmor laughed so hard that the sound hurt human ears. Full attention? We have studied your species, Admiral. You have been in space for less than 100 years. Your ships are slow and your weapons are weak. You have never fought a real war beyond your own solar system. 72 hours, Torres repeated calmly. Or what? The Emperor demanded. What can one small planet do to an empire that controls 1,000 worlds? Torres leaned forward slightly. When he spoke again, his voice was very quiet, but every word was clear. Your Majesty, you are about to find out why humans chose to be peaceful. It was not because we had to be. The connection ended. The council room was silent for a long moment. Dr. Harper spoke first. Admiral, are you sure about this? Once we show them what Phoenix Protocol really means, there will be no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again. Torres looked around the table at the faces of his colleagues. These people had worked with him for decades to keep Earth's real strength hidden. They had all hoped this day would never come. 50 years ago, we made a promise, he said quietly. No human civilian would ever again suffer what happened during the colony wars. Captain Chen and her crew are counting on us to keep that promise. Admiral Wong activated his personal communication device. I will begin mobilizing the deep space fleets. General Santos stood up. I will prepare the special weapon systems. One by one, the council members accepted what had to be done. Dr. Harper was the last to agree, but finally she nodded. I will prepare diplomatic messages for the other species. When they see what we do to the Catherians, they will want to know that Earth is still peaceful toward everyone else. Torres walked back to his office as alarms continued to sound throughout Terra Command. On his desk, the quantum communicator still showed the live feed from the Meridian. Captain Chen was looking directly at the hidden camera, and Torres could now see in her eyes that she understood what was coming. The Admiral opened a secure channel to bases across the solar system and beyond. This is Admiral Torres. Phoenix Protocol is now active. Begin Phase 1 preparations immediately. Across human space, secret facilities that had been waiting for 50 years finally came online. Ships that had never been seen in public began moving toward jump points. Weapons systems that existed only in classified files started charging their power cores. The Catherian Empire had ruled this part of the galaxy for 3 centuries. They were about to discover that their reign was over. Emperor Thakmor sat on his golden throne in the heart of Kitharos Prime. The massive chamber was filled with his most trusted advisors and military commanders. They were all laughing at the message they had just received from the humans. 72 hours, roared General Vexitar, commander of the Catherian Navy. The humans give us 72 hours. It is like a mouse threatening a dragon. The Emperor's 4 arms gestured wildly as he spoke. Admiral Torres thinks he can frighten the Catherian Empire with his words. Does he not know that we have conquered 47 worlds? Does he not understand that we command a fleet of 10,000 warships? Intelligence Minister Krenos stepped forward, holding a data pad. My lord, our spies have studied the human military for many years. They have only a few hundred ships, and most of those never leave their home solar system. Their weapons technology is at least 50 years behind ours. What about their ground forces? Asked General Morthak of the Catherian army. Even weaker than their navy, Krynos replied. Humans are small and soft. They need machines to help them lift heavy objects. They cannot survive in harsh environments without special suits. One Catherian warrior is worth 10 humans in battle. The Emperor leaned back in his throne, his glowing eyes bright with amusement. And this is the species that dares to threaten us? These weak creatures who hide behind their planet's gravity, well? On the main display screen, they could see a live image from Commander HFY aboard the captured human ship. The human crew was still chained in the cargo hold. Captain Chen knelt with her head held high, showing no fear despite her situation. HFY, the Emperor called out. Are the humans causing you any trouble? Commander HFY appeared on the screen, his red eyes glowing with satisfaction. No trouble at all, my Emperor. They kneel quietly like well-trained pets. The female who calls herself captain keeps making strange statements, but she offers no resistance. What kind of strange statements? She keeps talking about something called Phoenix Protocol. She also said that we should have taken Earth's offer while we had the chance. I think the stress has damaged her mind. The assembled Catherian leaders laughed again. They had seen this many times before. When faced with the reality of Catherian power, most aliens either went insane or became completely submissive. My Emperor, suggested General Vextar, perhaps we should send a message back to this Admiral Torres. We should show him what happens to species that try to threaten us. Emperor. Thakmore's eyes brightened even more. An excellent idea, General. HFY, execute half of the human prisoners. Make sure to record everything. Send the video to Earth Command along with our response to their pathetic ultimatum. It will be my pleasure, my Emperor, HFY replied. The Emperor stood up from his throne, his massive form towering over everyone in the chamber. Computer, open a channel to Earth Command. It is time to teach these humans their place in the galaxy. The communication system connected instantly. Admiral Torres appeared on the screen, sitting calmly at his desk. Behind him, the humans could see other Earth officers working at various stations. Admiral Torres, the Emperor said with mock politeness, we have received your amusing message. 72 hours to return your people. We have a better offer for you. Torres said nothing. He simply watched and waited. The Emperor's voice became harder and more threatening. Here is what will happen, human. In 1 hour, we will execute half of your crew members. We will record their deaths and send the video to every human colony in space. Then we will sell the survivors as slaves in our markets. I see, Torres replied calmly. If you want to retrieve their bodies, you may come to these coordinates. The Emperor transmitted the location of a Catherian military base near the edge of their territory. Bring whatever ships you have. We will be waiting to demonstrate the price of threatening the Catherian Empire. Torres leaned forward slightly. Your Majesty, I ask you one more time to reconsider. Return our people unharmed, and this situation can end peacefully. The Emperor laughed so loudly that the sound echoed through his throne room. Peacefully? There will be peace, Admiral. There will be peace when every human knows to fear the Catherian Empire, when your species learns to bow down before their superiors. The connection ended. The throne room erupted in celebration as the Catherian leaders congratulated each other on their clever strategy. The humans will have to respond now, said General Morthak. Their people will demand action when they see their crew members executed. And when they do respond, added General Vextar, we will destroy their pitiful fleet in front of the entire galaxy. Every species will see what happens to those who challenge Catherian rule. Emperor Thakmore returned to his throne with satisfaction. This was how the galaxy worked. The strong took whatever they wanted from the weak. It had been this way for 300 years, and it would continue for 300 more. Back on the captured human ship, Commander HFY selected 6 crew members for execution. He chose them randomly, including Dr. Wong and Engineer Rodriguez. The selected humans were dragged to the center of the cargo hold. Captain Chen watched as her people were forced to kneel before the Cytherian warriors. Energy weapons hummed as they charged up for firing. "Captain," whispered Dr. Wong, "are you sure Earth Command will respond? We are very far from home." Chen looked at her medical officer with calm eyes. "Lisa, Earth Command has been preparing for this moment since before you were born. The Cytherians think they know what humans are capable of. They are about to learn the truth." Zexhai raised his weapon and pointed it at Dr. Wong's head. "Any last words, human?" Chen spoke clearly, knowing that her words were still being transmitted to Earth through the hidden communicator. "Commander, you should know that humans have a saying, 'Do not mistake our kindness for weakness.'" "Your kindness?" Zexhai laughed. "You mean your fear, your weakness?" "No," Chen replied. "I mean our choice to be better than we have to be." "You are forcing us to make a different choice." The Cytherian commander aimed his weapon more carefully. The other warriors did the same with their selected targets. Recording devices captured every moment for transmission to Earth Command. "Goodbye, little humans," Zexhai said. "Perhaps in your next life you will remember not to challenge your betters." But something strange was happening to the Cytherian warriors. They were looking at each other with confusion. Their weapons were fully charged and ready to fire, but somehow they could not pull the triggers. "What is wrong with you?" Zexhai demanded of his soldiers. "Fire your weapons!" "Sir," said one of the warriors, "something is interfering with our weapon systems. The targeting computers are not responding." Zexhai looked at his own weapon display. Instead of the normal targeting information, strange symbols were appearing on the screen. The symbols looked almost like human writing, but they were moving and changing too fast to read. "It must be some kind of human technology," he said. "Search the prisoners for hidden devices." The Cytherian warriors searched every human carefully, but found nothing unusual. The interference continued to spread through their weapon systems. Soon, none of their energy weapons would respond to commands. Captain Chen smiled slightly as she watched the confusion among her captors. The Cytherians did not understand what was happening, but she did. Earth's quantum communication technology did not just transmit messages. When necessary, it could also transmit much more dangerous things. "Commander Zexhai," she said quietly, "you still have time to make the right choice. Release my crew and leave this ship. Go back to your people and tell them to accept Earth's offer." Zexhai struck her across the face with his armored hand. "Silence, human. Your primitive tricks will not save you. If our energy weapons will not work, we will use blade weapons instead." The Cytherian warriors drew long, curved swords from their armor. The metal gleamed under the cargo hold's lights. These weapons needed no computers or power sources. They would work no matter what the humans tried to do. But as Zexhai raised his sword above Dr. Wong's head, Captain Chen spoke one more time. "Phoenix Protocol is now fully active," she said. "May whatever gods you believe in have mercy on your souls." Far away on Kitharos Prime, Emperor Thakmor was still celebrating when his communication officers started reporting strange problems. Military bases across the Empire were losing contact with the capital. Navigation systems were failing on ships throughout Cytherian space. "What is causing these malfunctions?" the Emperor demanded. "We do not know, my lord," replied the chief technician. The problem started exactly 72 hours after the human admiral's message. It could be a coincidence. Emperor Thakmor's glowing eyes grew brighter as understanding began to dawn. Or it could be that we have underestimated our enemies. The main display screens in the throne room suddenly went dark. Emergency lighting came on as backup power systems struggled to maintain basic functions. Outside the palace, the lights of the great city began going out one by one. "My Emperor," General Vexitar said urgently, "we are receiving reports from across the Empire. Ships are disappearing from their patrol routes. Military installations are going silent. Something is attacking us, but we cannot see what it is. For the first time in his long life, Emperor Thakmor felt the cold touch of fear. The first sign that something was wrong came from the outer rim of Catherian space. Military base Keth 7, a massive station guarding the trade routes, simply stopped answering communication calls. The base commander had been filing regular reports, every 6 hours for over 50 years. Suddenly, there was only silence. "Probably just equipment failure," said Communications Officer Nalthek on the bridge of the battleship Dominator. "These old bases have problems all the time." Captain Morgeth was not so sure. He had been commanding Catherian ships for 30 years and had never seen a complete communication blackout. "Send a patrol ship to investigate," he ordered. The patrol ship Razor left the main fleet and jumped to hyperspace. 3 hours later, it emerged near base Keth 7. What the crew saw made no sense. The massive military station was still there, but it was completely dark. No lights, no energy readings, no signs of life. "Base Keth 7, this is patrol ship Razor. Respond immediately," the patrol captain called over all communication channels. Nothing answered him except empty space. The Razor moved closer to investigate. The station's docking bays were open, but no ships were inside. The outer hull showed no damage from weapons or explosions. It looked like everyone had simply vanished. "Captain," the sensor officer reported, "I am detecting strange energy readings throughout the station. It looks like every computer system has been completely wiped clean." "Wiped clean? By what?" "I do not know, sir. I have never seen anything like this. It is as if something reached into every electronic system at once and destroyed all the data." Before the patrol captain could respond, his own ship's computers began to malfunction. Warning alarms sounded as navigation systems failed. The ship's artificial intelligence, which had been operating perfectly for years, started speaking in random words and phrases. "Sir," the communications officer said with fear in his voice, "our quantum communication array just sent out a message by itself. It was not in any Catherian language." "What did it say?" "I think it was in human language, sir. The computer translated it as Phoenix rises." Across Catherian space, the same thing was happening to dozens of ships and bases. One by one, they fell silent. The few ships that managed to escape reported the same story. No visible attackers, no weapon signatures, just the sudden failure of all electronic systems, followed by complete darkness. Emperor Thakmor stood in his throne room, watching reports flood in from across his empire. Red dots on the Galactic. Maps showed locations that had gone silent. In just 12 hours, he had lost contact with over 100 military installations. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his advisors. "Where are the human ships? Where are their fleets? You cannot attack an empire without ships." Intelligence Minister Krinos held a data pad with shaking hands. "My Emperor, our spies report no unusual activity in human space. Their known ships are all in their normal positions. Earth appears to be conducting business as usual. Then who is attacking us?" We do not know." General Vextar stepped forward. "My lord, perhaps we should consider that the humans have weapons we know nothing about. Technology that we have never seen before." The Emperor's four arms gestured angrily. "Impossible. Our intelligence services have studied human technology for decades. They are primitives. They still use chemical rockets for some of their ships." "Then, explain this." General Vextar activated the main display. It showed a recording from the battleship Thunderfist, one of the most powerful ships in the Catherian fleet. In the recording, the ship was patrolling normally when suddenly every light went out. Emergency power failed. Life support systems shut down. The crew had only minutes to evacuate before the ship became a dead hulk floating in space. "The Thunderfist never saw an enemy," Vextar continued. "No ships on sensors, no weapon impacts. The attack came from inside the ship's own computer systems." Emperor Thakmor felt cold fear growing in his chest. Are you telling me that the humans can destroy our ships without even being present? Before anyone could answer, the lights in the throne room flickered and went out. Emergency power came on, casting everything in red shadows. Outside the palace, the great city of Kitharos Prime was going dark, section by section. "My Emperor," a technician called out. "Our planetary defense grid is shutting down. All weapon satellites are going offline. Even our communication arrays are failing." The Emperor realized with growing horror that his entire empire was being attacked by an enemy he could not see or fight. "Send a message to all fleet commanders," he ordered. "Full military alert. Every available ship should converge on the human colonies. If we cannot defend against their attacks, we will attack their homes instead." But as the orders went out, something else was happening in deep space. The Cytherian fleets that tried to gather for the attack began to disappear. Ships that had served faithfully for decades simply vanished from their patrol routes. The few survivors who escaped told impossible stories. They spoke of human ships that appeared from nowhere, looking nothing like the slow cargo vessels in the intelligence reports. These ships were sleek and deadly, moving faster than anything the Cytherians had ever seen. Commander Zarthek of the light cruiser Star Piercer was one of the few who lived to describe what happened to his battle group. "They came out of empty space," he reported in a shaking voice. 12 human ships, but they looked like no ships we had ever seen. Black metal that seemed to bend light around it. No engines that we could detect, but they moved like living things. "Did you engage them in battle?" asked the fleet admiral, receiving his report. "We tried, sir. We fired everything we had. Our plasma cannons, our missile systems, our particle beams. Nothing touched them. It was like they knew exactly where each shot would be before we fired." "And what did they do to your battle group?" Zarthek's voice became very quiet. "They hunted us, sir. One by one, our ships just stopped working. Not destroyed, not exploded. They stopped. Dead in space with no power, no life support, no communications. I only escaped because my ship was furthest from the attack zone." These reports reached Emperor Thakmor as he sat in his darkened throne room. Half his empire was now silent. His mighty fleet was being destroyed by an enemy that fought unlike anything he had ever encountered. "My Emperor," General Vextar said, carefully, "perhaps we should consider surrender. The humans offered us a peaceful solution." "Surrender?" The Emperor's voice roared through the chamber. "The Cytherian Empire does not surrender. We have ruled this galaxy for 300 years. And in 3 days we may rule nothing at all," Vexitar replied. "Look at the reports, my lord. We are not fighting a war. We are being hunted to extinction." As if to prove his words, an urgent message came from the outer system. A human fleet had appeared near Kitharos Prime itself. Not the primitive ships that Cytherian intelligence had reported, but something far more terrifying. "My Emperor," the sensor officer reported. "The human fleet consists of 50 ships. They are holding position just beyond our defense perimeter. One of them is much larger than the others. It appears to be their flagship." Emperor Thakmor straightened in his throne. At least now he could face his enemies directly instead of fighting shadows. The communication channel opened, and Emperor Thakmor found himself looking at Admiral Torres on the bridge of the human flagship. The human commander sat calmly in his chair, showing no anger or excitement despite the destruction of an entire empire. Behind him, other humans worked quietly at their stations. "I am Admiral Marcus Torres of the Earth vessel Retribution," the human said. His voice was steady and professional. "You have something that belongs to us, Emperor Thakmor." The Emperor tried to project the same authority he had commanded for decades, but his voice trembled slightly. 3 days ago, he had ruled 1,000 worlds. Now he could barely maintain control of his own throne room. "Admiral, your people are still alive," the Emperor said carefully. "Perhaps we can negotiate terms for their release." "I am sure we can," Reach an agreement that benefits both our species. Torres looked at him with cold, patient eyes. There will be no negotiation, Emperor. You will return Captain Chen and her crew immediately. Then you will surrender yourself and your remaining forces for trial. Trial? The Emperor's forearms gestured wildly. You think you can put the ruler of the Catherian Empire on trial like a common criminal? Emperor, Torres said quietly, your empire ended 3 days ago. You simply have not accepted that reality yet. The screen went dark. Emperor Thakmor stared at the blank display, feeling the weight of his situation pressing down on him like a collapsing star. Around him, his throne room was lit only by emergency power. Outside, the great city of Kitharos Prime was mostly dark and silent. General Vextar approached the throne cautiously. My Emperor, perhaps we should consider the Admiral's demand. We have lost contact with 90% of our fleet. Our remaining ships report that they cannot fight an enemy they cannot see or understand. The Catherian Empire does not surrender. The Emperor roared, but his voice echoed strangely in the nearly empty chamber. Most of his advisors had fled when the planetary defenses failed. Then what do you suggest, my lord? Vextar asked. Our enemies can disable our ships without being detected. They can shut down our technology from anywhere in the galaxy. They appear and disappear like ghosts. How do we fight such power? Before the Emperor could answer, a soft humming sound filled the throne room. The air itself seemed to vibrate with strange energy. Blue light began to glow from the walls and floor. What is happening? The Emperor demanded. Admiral Torres materialized in the center of the throne room, appearing from empty air as if he had always been there. He wore a simple dark uniform with no weapons visible, but somehow he seemed more dangerous than any Catherian warrior. The remaining palace guards raised their weapons, but the energy rifles would not fire. The Emperor pressed the alarm button on his throne, but no sound came from the speakers. Your Majesty, Torres said politely, I have come to accept your surrender. Emperor Thakmor stood up from his throne, trying to maintain some dignity despite his circumstances. And if I refuse to surrender? Torres gestured toward the dark windows that looked out over the silent city. Then in 1 hour, every remaining Catherian ship, base, and colony will be permanently disabled. Your people will be scattered across the galaxy with no way to communicate or organize. Some communities will survive on worlds that can support life without technology. Others will not. The Emperor felt his legs grow weak. He sat back down heavily, finally understanding the complete hopelessness of his situation. How did we not know? How did your species hide such incredible power from our intelligence services? Because you only looked for what you expected to see, Torres replied. You studied human ships and weapons, but you never tried to understand human thinking. You saw a species that appeared peaceful and assumed we were weak. You never asked why a supposedly weak species was able to spread across the galaxy so successfully. And why were you successful? Because we learned something that your people never did. Real strength comes not from the ability to destroy, but from the wisdom to know when destruction is necessary and when it is not. Emperor Thakmor looked at this human who had shattered an empire in less than a week. Torres appeared to be middle-aged by human standards, with gray hair and tired eyes. He did not look like a conqueror or a destroyer of worlds. What happens to me now? The Emperor asked. You will be taken to Earth for trial. If you show genuine understanding of the harm you have caused and real desire to make amends, you may eventually be allowed to help rebuild Catherian civilization along more peaceful principles. If you remain convinced that might makes right, you will spend the rest of your life in comfortable but secure confinement. And what of my people, the millions of Catherians throughout the galaxy? Torres's expression softened slightly. The Catherian people will be offered a choice, Your Majesty. They can learn to live peacefully with their neighbors, with Earth's assistance in rebuilding their worlds and their society, or they can continue to believe that they have the right to rule others through fear and violence. And if they choose violence, then they will discover that the galaxy has changed. The age of conquest is over. Species that cannot adapt to this new reality will find themselves isolated and powerless. The Emperor stood up slowly from his throne. For the first time in his long life, he was experiencing emotions he had never felt before. Not just fear, but something deeper. Shame for what his people had done. Regret for the suffering they had caused. And perhaps, just perhaps, hope for something better. "Admiral Torres," he said formally, "I surrender myself and what remains of the Catherian Empire to Earth Command. I accept responsibility for the actions of my people and request mercy for those who were only following orders." Torres nodded. "Your Majesty, this is not the end of the Catherian people. It is the beginning of something better." Blue light filled the throne room again, and both figures disappeared. Meanwhile, on the cargo ship Meridian, Captain Chen was finally free. The chains that had held her for days had simply dissolved when human forces disabled the Catherian ship's systems. She stood in her own cargo hold, watching as Commander Zexhai and his surviving warriors were led away by human soldiers. The Catherian commander looked confused and defeated. As he passed Chen, he stopped and spoke quietly. "Captain, I do not understand what happened here. Your people destroyed our entire empire, but you are treating us like guests instead of prisoners." Chen looked at him with something that might have been pity. "Commander, that is exactly why you lost. You cannot understand the difference between justice and revenge, between defending the innocent and conquering the weak. But your people have such power. You could rule the entire galaxy if you wanted to." "Yes," Chen agreed. "We could. But we learned long ago that ruling others by force creates more problems than it solves. It is better to be trusted than feared. Better to be respected than obeyed." Zexhai shook his head in confusion as the human soldiers led him away. Everything he had believed about strength and power had been proven wrong in the span of a few days. Dr. Wong approached Captain Chen as the cargo hold emptied. "Sarah, are you all right? They did not hurt you too badly?" "I am fine, Lisa. Tired and sore, but nothing that will not heal." Chen looked around at her ship, now filled with human rescue personnel instead of Catherian warriors. "How many of our people did we lose?" "None," Dr. Wong replied with amazement. "The Admiral's forces were able to disable the Catherian ships. Life support in specific sections. They eliminated the warriors who were threatening us without harming any human crew members." Chen nodded. She had expected nothing less from Earth Command, but it was still good to hear confirmation. 3 months later, the galaxy was a very different place. Captain Chen stood on the observation deck of Earth Station 1, looking out at shipping lanes, filled with peaceful traffic. Vessels from dozens of species moved freely through space, carrying trade goods and passengers instead of weapons and slaves. Near Earth, a small fleet of rebuilt Catherian ships worked alongside human vessels to deliver aid to former slave colonies. The ships had been redesigned with human technology, but they were crewed by Catherians who had chosen to help repair the damage their empire had caused. Emperor Thakmor, who now simply called himself Thakmor, personally supervised the distribution of medical supplies to a world his people had once enslaved. He worked alongside human volunteers, learning what it meant to serve others instead of ruling them. "Do you think the peace will last?" asked Dr. Wong, joining Chen at the observation window. "I believe so," Chen replied. "When every species in the galaxy saw what happened to the Catherian Empire in less than a week, they became very motivated to find peaceful solutions to their disagreements." "And the Catherians themselves? Can they really change after so many centuries of conquest?" Chen pointed to where Thakmor was helping unload supplies for children in a refugee camp. "Look at their former emperor. 6 months ago, he was ordering the execution of prisoners for entertainment. Now he spends his days trying to heal the wounds his people created. If he can change, anyone can. Admiral Torres approached them with a datapad in his hands. Captain Chen, I have your next assignment. The Zalani Federation is having problems with pirates in the Outer Rim. They have requested Earth's assistance in negotiating a peaceful resolution.